Alright. Alright. Hi, Professor Graham. Just wanted to just thank you for the opportunity just to have take your course, the leadership strengths and skills. And I'm gonna just start off, the course reflection by just talking about just kind of what helped me learn the most from just throughout the course. And for me personally, I think the three case studies that we did in class was the most beneficial for my learning, as I feel like for me personally, it allows you to just kind of get a glimpse at just some real world situations or just hypotheticals, even if you will, and kind of allowed me as myself to figure out like just solutions to all these like potential problems and just figuring out how to really problem solve for something that could be a real world like problem. And I feel like having the ability to do that while also only keeping it a couple pages, it allowed me to still have to think, like use critical thinking while also not having a long, super long like assignment or paper. And I feel like that for me was the most helpful throughout the course. And then having three different ones that were all three different, completely different things as well. So second one is, how did you know you were learning? I feel like for me, how I felt I was learning is honestly through other classmates. I think for me, I learned about stuff that I didn't even think about. Like I think what other people, I mean, going to this week and even just past posts, like just what people use as motivation. There's like for me, for motivation, I use motivation a lot of like how I positively impact others, where people use motivation as how can I push myself forward? Like, what do like it's in like I've noticed like other people's motivation is more internal, and I also have internal motivation, of course, but I also notice how much more external motivation that I emphasize compared to others. And for third one, which leadership concept and skills do you feel most confident with now? Man, I think throughout this course, I think for me personally, um, I'll say just written communication. I know it's kind of like, I guess, a niche thing to say, but I feel like even as a leader, right, you have to be able to step up and take charge. And I feel like especially nowadays, being able to write and be confident in writing, especially nowadays, I feel like it's a lot harder than what it used to be, especially being proficient at it. And I feel like this course throughout the case studies and just so a few other assignments we had, like your mission values assignment, stuff like that, I feel like really allowed me to see myself better as a writer and then like allow myself to see how I feel as a leader through writing. The next question, what type of leadership assignments were the most thought provoking? I mean, I guess I can't answer this with the case studies, but if I were to go away from the case study, I think the mission vision assignment that we had early in the year was the most thought provoking. And I felt like it allowed me to take a step back and really see, like, man, like, what do I see in the future? Like, what kind of values do I hold right now? And, like, how are they going to take me further into the future of what I want to do? Just really allowing me to see more of how I see myself, I think was kind of a big takeaway I had for that. And then identify your effort level for this class. If I had like grade myself on a scale of effort, a 10 just being like, above and beyond, going sky high. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I'd have to give myself probably like a 6.5 or a 7. All the written assignments, I felt like I really did put genuine effort in, and I took the time to really teach myself on just the basic skills and what was needed to complete the assignment. However, I feel like I was a lacking. I didn't really dig deep, or even sometimes I'll be honest, I didn't even dive fully into the resources that were given. And I feel like my discussion post was kind of like keeping me away from that 9 or 10 area, because I felt like I didn't do a deep dive into like the given like textbook to help answer some of my discussion questions, but I answered them more just based off personal, experience that I've already had. So it wasn't as deep as a dive. And how much time did you spend on different assignments? Discussion posts, I probably spent maybe 5 minutes on each. Um, Sometimes 10, like the one this week was 10 for sure. So a lot of the stuff we already did was stuff like I already had experience with doing, so it was easier for me to answer. But some of the stuff, you gotta take a little deeper dive in and do some research on to really formulate like an actual good response. Um, the case studies, man, those things took me like maybe at least an hour, if not like an hour and a half. Mostly, maybe even longer. It's hard for me to actually say because it's been a couple weeks since I've done one, but because you really have to take a deeper dive and see like what you have left and what you still have to do, and then just see like, okay, like just knock off these questions. Like, is there stuff I can still add? Like, there's more I think that had to go into case studies than there was that had to go into discussion posts. And how much did you grow as a college student during this time? Did you learn anything about yourself? I feel like as a college student, I feel like I grew in the way of I'm not gonna say discussion posts, but I grew in the way of really learning more about myself. And I really think that's the biggest thing from this course. I know like I really learned more about where I see myself in the future and how my current goals, my missions, my values even, like how those are gonna push me to be where I wanna be come graduation here in like a year and a half. Let's see, did you learn anything about yourself? Yeah, I learned a lot of things that, I don't really write down, my values, my mission. Like I really had to take like actual thinking, like, man, like I never took these into consideration. And then looking back, it's just like, with that assignment, it's just I'm glad I did. And I think if I were to add one critique, so I hope you actually see this. I think for the mission, like the mission values assignment that we had, I think like week 3 or 4, I think it would be very beneficial for students to do it in a video rather than typing it out. In fact, I would say both. Like you have like, your the writing and then you also have me talking like this. That a way like people can hear themselves say their visions, mission instead of just being something like some people probably just type it out and never look at it again. So I think them saying it also helps them retain it. And then it's like, oh yeah, like man, like this is it. So let's see. How does what you are learning in this course connect with other content areas which are real life? Wow. What you are in the course connect with other- Yeah. I think it connects a lot with work. I think it's the main thing, right? So I work at Home Depot. I think I've said this in the past in a like assignment or post, but I think it really just helps with seeing how others work in group activities and environments, and then seeing like myself as a leader, like how have I used leadership skills in work? Um, just things like that. I don't really think how does work connect with others? Um, just allows me to see am I more of a like introvert, extrovert as well? Am I more outgoing in groups? Am I more like willing to work with people I know rather than people I don't know? Like, is there like that exclusion of, hey, I got to know you first before I get comfortable with working for you first? Which for me, I don't think that's a problem. I think I just talk to whoever. I think it's cool to know more people and just build connections. But yeah, let's see. I think I missed number 6, so I'll hop back on that. What type of feedback was most motivating? I think the most motivating feedback that I received was just the people supporting me on my future goals and values. So like I said, like my goals work for the Cowboys, and a lot of people are like, yeah, that's a great goal. And then like had like all my benchmarks set out, and like everybody fully supported them. And I was like, yeah, this is super attainable, and you very like clearly stated your steps, which is awesome to hear from other people. Because sometimes like, oh, I feel like I'm just all over the place. But yeah, thank you for everything in this course, and I hope you have a great spring break. Thank you, Professor Graham.